All right, guys. Another special request from Rana, another Sofia Isella. I just did Us and Pigs. Found it fascinating. And it's always cool to see an artistic expression of somebody's perception, somebody's experience, and they put it into an art form. And Rana also said that sometimes she gets interpreted, Sofia Isella, as like men hating. I mean, I didn't see that in Us and Pigs. To me, I just see like an artistic expression of like her experience and her perception of society, like a societal imbalance and potential like abuse. So let's rock and roll with it. Let's get right into it. Here we go.
The doll people are not men, they are made of ice and glass. Our skin is clay and painted blue, our head can detach. We are statues with a pulse, we are art you can fuck. The doll people are quiet. What is there to say? Art does not interpret itself. There are men with a day to save. We are paintings with legs. We are art you can fuck. Drink the dolls, legs spread like buttery, your wife, whore, mistress, maid, mother, the beauty and the buyer. Take the screaming one, because a woman who doesn't want it is much harder than one that does.
Wow. That's fascinating. A woman that doesn't want it is hotter than one that does. Yeah, there is like this I'm not sure exactly what it is, but like there is this old, like this age old I don't know what you would call it, but like the idea of there's a woman who's like kind of like prude, or like, like, oh, I don't really want to, like that the Christmas song. It was playing in the grocery store the other day. The I don't even know what it's called, but it's the one where she's like, I really should go, and he's like, won't you stay? My sister might think the worst or whatever. And she's like, it's this back and forth between like a man who wants to, have sex with this woman, presumably, in the subtext, and then a woman who's wants to like leave. It's not as like I might get in hot water, but I'll wait till the end of the video to get in hot water. So let's keep going here. But that is an interesting. Let's just keep going, because she's saying a lot here.
Mother, wife, whore, mistress, maid, mother. The doll people are alive, or so they say. You can never trust the art these days. To be admired takes precedence over admiring. To be desired takes importance over desiring. Drink the dolls, legs spread like buttery, your wife, whore, mistress, maid, mother, the beauty and the buyer. Take the screaming one, because a woman who doesn't want it is much harder than one that does. Paint popping off of us like rockets, stepped right out of a fantasy. The words so stuck to our pockets. The beauty and the buyer. Take the screaming one, because a woman who doesn't want it is much harder than one that.
The beauty and the buyer take the screaming one. So, is the buyer also a beast? Is like kind of the beauty and the buyer is like kind of the implication. But the beauty, who is the beauty? Like, interesting, man.
The doll people are gone. They don't know what happened. They looked under her skirts one morning, but all they saw were maggots. They banged their head on the wall. They fucked the yard on that afternoon. The dolls are off running and laughing together, swimming in the milk of the moon. Wife, whore, mistress, maid, mother. Wife, whore, mistress, maid, mother. Wife, whore, mistress, maid, mother.
Interesting. So, one of the more interesting parts of this too to me is when she says the dull people are awake, because she essentially lays out like how um the art she basically says we're an art that you can fuck, referring to like women. um we're an art that you can fuck, and then there's like this idea of a dull woman who's just like this. I don't know, maybe probably doesn't say much. She looks good, I don't know, maybe just kind of like a dull person that serves men is kind of like what she's describing. And then she says, uh, like, oh my God, the dull people are awake. And then there's this point where presumably the man lifts up the skirt, and all they see were maggots, meaning that the dull people are dead, and now they're awake, and they're like, hey, we want to be treated as humans and not as objects. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know. The objectification of women is. I don't really have anything to really say about it. I mean, it exists for sure. Um, I do wonder how much men are also objectified. I'm not saying that it's an equal thing or anything, but I am just curious, like, are men the only ones who like see a beautiful person of the opposite gender and say like, wow, that's, like, yeah, and I'm not justifying either one, to be honest with you. But I do wonder, I do think about that sometimes, like, um, yeah, Sophia Isella, I like this. I can't say it's something that I would listen to in my own private time. But very artistic, and I like that at different points this really heavy, low noted piano comes in when it's getting like really intense. Um, but that was what seemed to be, and it seemed almost maybe after like World War II. I know there was a pretty big feminism movement that kind of was birthed out of that, because women went to work during World War II because the men, my understanding, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not an expert. So if there's other information that, if I have incorrect information, let me know. But my understanding is World War II, the men went off to fight, and then somebody had to make the bombs. Somebody had to make the plates, like not make the plate of food, but like literally make the plates, or the manufacturing. And so a lot of women went into manufacturing, and then the men came back, and then the women were like, you want me to go, some of them anyway, like, were like, you want me to go back and do this? Like, bitch, I made that bomb. I made this gun. I formed that bullet that you shot. Like, I have skills now. What do you want me to do this? Like, you want me to go back? And so I think there was probably like a group that was like maybe happy to go back. And then I'm assuming there was a group that was definitely not happy to go back. But my understanding is that culturally some of that started there. And then in the 50s and 60s and 70s, when you have a mixture, a few different things going on. You have the post-World War II woman, which is a lot different than the pre-World War II woman, in my understanding. And then you also have psychedelics that kind of get out into the population, and specifically into the young population. And so they're, even if they're raised with some of these older traditional like gender roles, they might have gone off to college or even in high school, and taken acid and been like, oh, like, this is what society teaches me, but I want to be an independent thinking individual. And so you have this you have that continue through the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And something worth mentioning as well is that the black civil rights movement, I think, probably played a large role in this. And this might sound weird, but I genuinely think that at some point, if when you have people like Martin Luther King Jr. and on the other side, kind of like Malcolm X, but you have these really great black leaders born in this this age of rapid, drastic change, very necessary, and I think to some extent you had white women looking at black people and saying, wait a minute, they get the right to vote? Wait a minute, they get this right of you can't discriminate them against them in the workplace? Where's our right for it then? If I think, and it sounds screwed up, but I think to some extent there may have been almost a racist. I'm not trying to discredit. I'm not trying to discredit the feminist movement, but I do think that if racism was ingrained into everyone at a young age, and then you had a 25-year-old woman in 1965, let's say, and she sees the civil rights movement going on, and they're like, wait, these black people get rights? Hang on. I also want some rights too then, if this is what's happening. Because we like to think of progressive movements like this as solidarity, but there's great divides in between these different separate movements. And I'm not going to bang on too much about it here, but I am open-minded. If I've said anything you disagree with, let me know in the comments. Please be respectful. If you're not respectful, fine. We'll deal with it either way. I'm not I can deal with it. I'm a grown adult. I can deal with harsh criticism. But feel free to have a conversation with me, or, just your thoughts, or if you have some information that might change my mind or that I don't know about, feel free to share it. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you, Rana, for the recommendation. Really think it's cool. And it is fascinating to see that, because I know that it's not like this is exclusive to Sofia as Isella. This is a commonly felt sentiment from a lot of women. So it is interesting to see that put into the artistic form, because it's not like an argument. It's not a conversation. It's just, this is my perception, my experience, and I'm gonna put it out in an artistic way, and that's really cool for me to see. Anyway, I'll wrap this one up. Thank you all for tuning in.